gentlemen, welcome back to Unarmored Talk podcast, where we have real life conversations that hopefully helps you develop some amazing life skills. I'm your host, Mario P. Fields, and today I am honored to have a top ranked podcast host. He's interviewed over 5,000. I'm exaggerating. I got to exaggerate, Abdulaziz, but over 500 amazing guests from around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in a warm welcome for my guest today, Abdulaziz Alhamdan.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so honored. I'm lucky. I'm privileged to be here, and I'm ready to share things that are useful and that come from the heart.
Nice. And where are you currently located at in the world, so people can understand where you're interviewing from?
I am not Romanian, but I'm currently in Romania, and I'll share my story of two things: how I escaped the war in Ukraine from Kyiv, how people have helped me, and the third thing, I ended up an illegal immigrant in a country. My life changed in 1 month in a way that is absolutely crazy, and I'm ready to share all the juicy details.
Juicy, I like that word, juicy, man. Ladies and gentlemen, he's. If you guys want to check Aziz, you mind if I call you Aziz?
100%.
If you guys want to, if you guys want to link up with Aziz, go on LinkedIn. He's out there. He's got thousands of connections, multiple podcasts that he's an amazing host. You guys can link up with Aziz on LinkedIn. The world's largest, you guys know that, professional networking site, and follow him on some of his journey. So before we get into the juicy topic, can you tell them just a little bit about yourself, my friend?
Thank you. And I will relate it to people and to staying alive because of people.
Yeah.
I grew up in North Africa to a single mother. My father left before I was born, actually, and I was raised by my grandfather, who was in the military. He participated in the independence of two countries, Algeria and Tunisia, where I was born. I needed to be an excellent student in order to get a scholarship to the Netherlands, where I studied university, but I didn't find my tribe of people. I believe we shouldn't accept wherever we're at. We should create our own universe of great people who we have chemistry with. So after graduating, I spent my life digitally nomading, living whether in Brazil, in Japan, Philippines, India, Dubai, Barcelona. And in the last 3 years, I've been on and off to Kyiv, where the tech startup scene was wonderful. It was affordable. There was a lot of green weather. The cold was refreshing compared to an African boy like me. So to meet people, I started a podcast there where I interviewed my neighbors, people I knew, people I wanted to meet, and I made hundreds of friendships.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that. Like you say, you were very successful in a wonderful place, not much conflict during that time. And then all of a sudden, there was kind of the storm clouds of war, I'll use that cliche, started brewing. And you're right in the middle. Let's talk about it.
I remember Wednesday, which is the day before the war, was a spring day. It was wonderful. I was with friends at the park. I slept peacefully. And then Thursday at 5:20 a.m., I hear knocks on my door, and it never happens in Ukraine. So I run and I'm like, what's going on? And my neighbor said, crazy Putin began bombing. And I was in a Soviet-style building where I could see and hear people running down the stairs with their kids, with their luggage, with everything. And I thought, this is a crazy day. I will never be able to escape. So what's the wise thing to do? I ran to the ATM to take cash, as much money as I could. I ran to the 24-hour store to get water, food, canned food, biscuits, Oreos, whatever it is that will last me a while. And then I went home and I was checking on everybody I knew, so much so that Instagram banned my account because they thought I'm spamming people because I sent 50 messages in 3 hours. And I told Instagram, this is war. This is not a normal situation. What's going on? But my account is gone.
Aziz, I just have to capture what you said. You didn't you took the time in the midst of all this chaos to go, hey, let me allocate some time to check on people I know in my network. And you stopped in the middle of all this to start checking on people other than trying to save yourself.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I'll tell you why, for two reasons.
Yeah.
One, because I know so many people, so I know people who can help those who might be in need. And secondly, when there is chaos, a friend in need is a friend indeed, that if, you're going to be there for people, you have to be there when it counts, not when it's easy. So yes, that was like, even before saving myself, even before going, and I can share about the shelter experience a bit later, but even before going to the shelter, I was messaging people, what's your plan? Do you need help? Do you need connections with anybody who could help you? That was my first instinct. And well, Instagram after 10 years is gone, but I don't mind it. It was well worth it to me. It's like you save yourself and you have to sacrifice some things in order for you to deserve good things. I remember, and this is a bit unrelated, but yeah, I have this process of thinking. Last year, I twisted my ankle really badly and people were, oh, that's so bad. But I was laughing and they told me, you're crazy. What's going on with you? And I said, look, I believe at least 2 days in the year will be absolutely terrible, where they will go really, really badly. But those are the sacrifices we give to the gods in order for us to deserve the 364 or whatever other years of happiness. So that helps me keep my mental health.
What a thought process. You know what? Hey, if I could get 364, 363 good days, I'll take those 2 bad. So
yes, 100%.
So here you are now. Instagram shut you down. You got some cash. You got some biscuits and gravy. I'm just exaggerating, but you got a little bit of food. You're checking on people. Now what?
I thought I'll escape the next day, but Kyiv did this thing where they did a curfew for 72 hours or 3 days, where if you're outside, you're considered an enemy and a spy and you got shot on sight. Oh. So I didn't plan for that. I thought the first day will be crazy. People were getting stuck in the middle of highways, running out of fuel on the streets. Everything was jammed. And I thought, this is craziness. People will not, think about human life. And that time you can get stampeded or whatever. So I discovered, and I began rationing my food like a good in the army, you have your rations, but I had some cat food and dog food. And I thought, if this runs out, this will be very delicious, I'm sure. So that's what I was thinking, that, you're in a spot where people cannot get to, even like nothing is working. And that's supermarkets were working that first day, but because of the curfew, there are no public transportations for people working in supermarkets to arrive. And therefore, I was waiting for that Monday at 8 a.m. to get out of the city. And because of my networking and checking on people, I had a friend who was working at Nestle in Ukraine, and his assistant dedicated them like her to help me, because at the time you cannot get online. The only possibility that Monday to leave was by train, and train schedules are not announced online, only on some Telegram. That's what they use their message boards in Ukrainian. And therefore I needed somebody to tell me, like, go to platform 5, platform 4, but men were not allowed to evacuate. I went there to the train station. It was children, of course, women. I saw families separated, fathers crying, like boys, 18 years old, 19 years old, crying, separated from their mothers, their lovers, and all that. And they had supervisors in front of every door that let people in or not. And I was pleading and pitching to them and begging and saying, look, 2 things. I don't want my family to get the call that your son was bombed in a war that you're unrelated to. Right. But even worse, it's this. Some countries, what happened is, if you stay in a war too long, they won't believe you stayed there peacefully. They think you're learning how to make bombs and become a terrorist. So I told them, look, if I stay too long here, nobody in my country will believe I was stuck. They will directly take me to interrogation.
Wow. So, Aziz, I never looked at it like that. Wow.
I did. And they did. When I came to Romania, the embassy, they did interrogate me a little bit, but because I was there for only 8 days, it was fine.
But to them, 8 days, right? But so at the end, men were not allowed to leave.
No Ukrainian man, no Indian, not me, not Japanese. I saw all kinds.
So it didn't matter.
It wasn't possible to take the bus, cars after those 3 days. All the roads were unsafe. I tried that day. I begged, I pleaded. I was running from platform to platform, and I understood it because they were saying, our children, even like before the women, it was like children first, and then women. Everybody was so piled up on top of each other that some people were out of the doors of the wagons because they're trying to survive for their lives. And I will tell you very soon about my own trip. But that day, there was peace talks from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. between Ukraine and Russia near Belarus. And I thought they're Slavic brothers. Maybe they will shake hands and ceasefire or whatever. So I returned home walking 4 miles because no more taxis. Only that morning there was a possibility to take it, but everybody is leaving. And at 7:01, they began bombing my neighborhood. I was near the military district, and I didn't go to the shelter that night because I thought, I'm in Kyiv, it will be safer. I was on the floor in a fetal position in the middle of my room with the whole place shaking like an earthquake, 12 to 15 air raid sirens. The glass you hear like woof, almost exploding from impact after impact. And I thought, I don't like this war movie. I don't want to participate anymore. I couldn't sleep that night. And I understood I cannot go with what I own. I remember I put everything trying to choose what to take, what not to take.
Yeah.
Even some things that my grandfather gave me, I remember I put them on my right side, good memories, things that were my favorite. And I put on the left side an extra bottle of water. And I thought, this bottle of water could be the difference between life and death. I will leave those things because if I take them and I die, my grandfather wouldn't want that. And I remember my landlord, I told him, donate everything that I left. All my clothes, I took just the clothes I was wearing, a backpack with as much water and biscuits and food as possible, and my laptop. And that was my escape possibility, where for 3 days, I kept trying and trying and trying with no possibility. And something really funny happened where when we were between bombings, I remember I looked out at the dark city at night, and there were very, very few window lights outside, and every night less and less. And I thought, people are leaving. I don't want to be the last person welcoming the Russians.
Right. So you're thinking, you're right. So you're looking around like, okay, people, somehow they're getting out of here because every night there's less lights on.
Yes. And very funnily, I saw a face of a woman looking at me from the other side. And I thought, this poor woman, probably she's in my same situation. But I received a panicked phone call from my landlord who was like, what the hell is going on? Where are you? I said, I'm in the apartment. He said, you didn't leave. The neighbor lady thought you're a spy, and she was freaking out. If she called the Ukrainian army, they wouldn't have been so nice. And I thought, the Ukrainian army wants to kill me and the Russians. And if I stay too long, my country will nag on me. I was in a situation that was absolutely horrible until on the 5th day. That's when I got really, really lucky. It was a divine intervention moment where I arrived in front of a train going to the west of Ukraine. The supervisor, of course, didn't allow me as usual, but 2 old Ukrainian ladies were walking by with a big heavy bag. They saw me trying. They probably pitied me or something. And they told the guard, oh, he's strong and big. We cannot lift this big bag inside the wagon. Can he come for us? Just 2 minutes. 2 minutes, he'll be able to put our luggage in. And I'm like, yes. He was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. I took the luggage, I put it inside near the edge of the wagon, and they told me, hide behind it. And I was like holding my backpack, trying to make myself small, trying under stress, because you know what's worse than not getting what you want? It's getting it and then be taken from you in the last second. And I thought maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes, but it took 5 whole hours of stress before the train began moving. And
so you mean to tell me you're, and now just for context, a lot of my viewers and listeners know I'm actually 5'2", so it's easier it's easier probably for me to fit in a small space. But Aziz, my belief is that you're not 5'2".
I am not, but the luggage bag
So
was like pretty big.
so you're sitting in, so you're hiding behind the two ladies and whatever in the luggage for 5 hours. Were the guards or folks coming on a train to check?
Yes, before leaving, when everybody arrived, a guard woman came and like she's the woman working inside to check, supposedly because we don't need tickets to go, but the one that checks tickets or whatever. And there was another divine intervention that made me think I'm alive for a reason, because when she arrived to me, she saw me like angrily with a very Soviet like stern face. But at the same time, there was a father outside who was making like a big ruckus, fighting his way in to be with his daughter and his wife. And she looked at me, she looked at the man making a big scene, and she went to deal with that guy. And that's the only reason she let me in, because she thought I'm not worth the trouble. That guy is making a big mess out there. And therefore, that's the possibility that allowed me to be there when the train left. And when the trains arrive, they changed the wagon or the engine to put it in our train. So it's still hot. It didn't have time to rest. And the train journey, which usually takes 6 hours, it took us 14 hours, where it was hot like a sauna. We were in winter clothes because supposedly it was snowing outside, but the engine is so overheated. Right. And the people, so many people crammed on top of each other. Some people didn't take their luggage. They took their cats, they took their dogs, babies crying, cats angry, dogs crying, whatever it is. And everybody had like that look of death and despair and shock on their faces.
Wow.
And the worst part, we moved near, I think it's the Zhytomyr nuclear power plant, which was getting bombed at the time. And we needed to stop multiple times during that journey, where we needed to be dark, to close all the curtains down so that we don't become targets to the nearby bombs. Right. And the worst one part, it was a night train. At around 12:31 a.m., I remember I checked the time, we can hear Russian tanks and armored vehicles driving nearby when we were absolutely silent. And I thought, in war, in such situation, you realize you have no rights, that the person who has the power, we could have become a mass grave, we could have become like hostages, anything. And that was absolutely terrifying. Like you can hear them for around 10 minutes driving nearby. We were absolutely dark. And that was the worst part of the journey, really, for me, although it got more interesting later. But that part was like, I'm near the enemy, I can hear them.
Wow. Wow. I mean, here you are, a wonderful life, you know, and then all of a sudden you just get caught in the middle of war. No men can leave, but because of your authenticity, that's my belief. And
thank you.
And the young and the ladies, you know, you're saying, hey, look, you need to get out of here. And to be in a position where the current country you're in may turn against you, the enemy that's coming in is probably going to go after you, and in your own country going, hey, depending on how long you stay, no matter what you tell us, yeah, you're there too to fight and whatever. What a level of complexity. And here you are with the courage to never give up, to go, hey, I'm just going to take a bottle of water and maybe the clothes on my back and get on this train somehow. And you did. Talk to me about what was next. So now you guys, you know, the Russian tanks, the tanks get past you. You guys are good. What's next?
I arrived I didn't go to Poland because of networking. I knew some people in Romania who offered to host me. So I needed to arrive to a city called Ivano-Frankivsk, which is 150 miles from the Romanian border. And the train I was going in will continue till there. And I remember we arrived to the west, the first safer city where it was only 2 bombings a day. I thought it's so peaceful.
Wait a minute. The safest place that you said was, oh, they only average 2 bombs a day, so we're good.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I thought,
Wow.
oh, that's like nothing. That's like Tuesday morning in Kiev. At the time, they were averaging 15 to 20,
Oh my
bombings in
goodness.
Kiev in the beginning. I was there when they were going on full force. Well,
Yeah.
when we arrived there, they told us, the people, we've been here for 14 hours for me plus 5, because I needed to be waiting those 5 extra hours before the train began moving. They said, oh, you can go stretch your legs, the journey is hard on your body. But I thought, no, it took me all these 5 days to be able to find the spot. I'm not leaving just for somebody like a supervisor or whatever to see me and be like, what are you doing around here? Stay out. I waited until Ivano-Frankivsk. I left the train, and really I surprised myself that I cried like a baby. I didn't know I was under so much distress because I was focusing on survival. I just collapsed, and those volunteers, they gave me water, they gave me soup, they gave me shelter. I didn't sleep for that whole week because I was either under bombings or trying to escape. I just collapsed and woke up the next day to discover another divine intervention thing, which is that night, the Russians bombed the road near the train station in Kiev, the central train station, which means they said around 10,000 more people were trying to escape, which means I would not be able to even have the opportunity to escape if I waited one day more. But it also meant there were no more transportations in Ivano-Frankivsk. All the trains going to the east of Ukraine to evacuate people, all the buses, everything. I thought, am I going to be one of those stories that walked in the snow 150 miles to escape? Why not? But I found an alternative that I will share very soon.
Yeah. I mean, in my heart and prayers go out for everybody involved in the conflict. I mean, everybody and both sides. I mean, war is it's not pretty. And what I mean by that, there's a lot of trauma, and that's on all sides. So again, my heart and prayer goes out for everyone, and I'm just honored that at least I have you on Unarmored Talk, Aziz,
Yeah.
and be able to share this with you and not read about you, and so many others that did not make it out. So now you get another divine intervention, something you couldn't imagine, right? What happened after that?
Oh, it's crazy. Two things. I have a friend who I was lucky that I only saw in Kiev buildings that were destroyed, where I think I used to laugh with friends in that building and now it's rubble. This is like, it was horrifying to me that I had plans, I had all that, and suddenly you have to run for your life. But a friend of mine escaped near a part of Kiev that was even more attacked because the military airport was there.
Okay.
And when she was leaving, a family in front of her was shelled and cut, like exploded into pieces, where she saw that live, where 10 seconds later she would have been dead. And she said, I need therapy forever now because of that, to see children and like a whole family and the woman just go into pieces in front of her was traumatizing. But to me, what I did, I thought, I will try. I went to all the cars that I saw. I said, is anybody going anywhere outside of Ukraine? If you need money or anything, they were like, no, like my daughter is more important. Oh no, I have my luggage in here. I have my furniture, whatever it is, we don't need your money. The money wasn't important. It was people throughout the journey that made the difference.
Interesting.
Really for me. I went to a church nearby, which was near the train station in Ivano-Frankivsk, and they said, you're so lucky. 5 minutes ago, a Romanian Ukrainian family came by. They said, we have one spot in the car for one person who might need it. Do you have anybody who needs that? And I'm like, me, yes, I need that. It was like so many divine, like I said to you, when you are there in the right place at the right time, that gives you, that it infuses you with a feeling that everything's going to be okay because you're not alone, helpless or whatever on this journey. And we drove for 130 miles. They didn't speak English. We were just glued to the news. The whole place looked like a war zone where there were defensive positions everywhere.
Right.
They gave AKs to all the men. So people were walking nearby everywhere with AKs. They checked our papers to check that I'm not a spy or whatever. They told those Ukrainian, like Romanian, to say some Ukrainian words that Russians cannot pronounce correctly to make sure they were born and raised in the country. It was really like, when you see it, it's traumatic, but I was just thinking, I will deal with anything that happens as long as I'm out of the war zone. And 20 miles before the border, the traffic jam was so heavy that we saw the estimation and the Google Maps or whatever they were using, that it's 2 to 3 days to cross the border. And I thought, I don't want to be a sitting duck for the Russians to bomb me, because they don't care about like human life or anything. So I told them, thank you very much. I gave them my leftover water because I might need it. It wasn't possible to get more. And I said, I'm walking in the snow, 20 miles. I didn't care that my feet were killing me, that the shoes were almost destroyed. It was freezing down there. I was like, I will rest forever or whatever, as long as I'm across the border. And a funny thing, a part of the journey there were like 3 or 4 stray dogs that were looking at me and following me for around 10 minutes. And it felt like those cowboy movie scenes where someone is dehydrated, lost in the desert with the vultures swarming around, waiting for them to die to eat their flesh. And I told them, no, what do we say to the God of death? Not today. I refuse to die.
Aziz said, I know I'm going to die, but it's not today.
100%.
And you know, and I like how you mentioned, you know, we see a lot of people put value in the money. And that's their choice, right? It's not right or wrong. It's their belief that money's valuable, and it can be. But I like how you mentioned, during this moment of crisis, this unexpected moment of crisis, the value of money was devalued. It lost all of its value, and what became super valuable was relationships and people, and how you treat people, or how are people willing and able to help other people. And there was not enough money that you could offer to buy help. And that was interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, because like you said, I mean, you're like, hey, I have a Rolls Royce, you know, right? I have a $1 trillion house. They're going, no, I don't want it. You can keep it. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure listeners and viewers caught that. That was very, very, you know, interesting, and I believe inspirational. So here it is now. You beat all of this stuff, and what I mean by stuff is the tanks are near you. You can hear them. Which, if you can hear a tank, and you know, everybody knows I'm a veteran. If you can hear a tank, you're close. Like, if you can hear the tracks, yeah, you're super close, and that tank is within range of you. You know, you get to a point where you're on foot. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, it's not 78 degrees and we're in Southern California. You know, it's cold as heck, and it's not like Aziz got some snow boots. And now he's got stray dogs following him because they're hungry and they see this nice meal. Now what, my friend?
I was able to arrive to the border. My feet were killing me. I didn't care. But again, I saw families separated again, where I saw a father hugging his little daughter and trying to hold his tears. And she was like, Dad, why can't you go with us? And he was like, oh, I'll join you in a few hours. I need to finish something. But he will never, ever be able to cross that border as long as there is a war. Wow. I saw an 18 years old son who had like a residence in Germany. He was Ukrainian because he was a student, separated from his mother, where the army guys who were on the border told him, this is your country, you're a man, stay and defend it. And his mother was absolutely horrified to leave him behind. I was in the small stretch of land between Ukraine and Romania, in snow, in freezing wind, everybody trying to warm ourselves up. There were women and children trying, like nobody was even hopeful because they had no plans. They didn't know what will happen next. We were like cattle stuck there with so many people trying to leave, but grateful to find the possibility to get to safety. And when we got to the border guards in Ukraine, they didn't even look at your passport or paper. They just stamp and go, just escape, just leave. It was like they didn't check backgrounds. I thought they didn't check your luggage. I thought this is crazy because if somebody has bad intentions or like somebody who's in Interpol thing or whatever, they didn't even look at your photo. Everybody was stamped and gone until we got to Romania, where they told me, look, because, I'm from an African country, so my passport's not super cool. Yeah. They're like, usually you need a visa to arrive here. Ukrainians can come here for 9 months, visa free, it's okay. We don't know your situation. But I said, look, I don't have the mind frame to deal with this. So they said, okay, we'll stamp your passport and then check with the authorities later. And when I arrived there, someone I knew through someone else lived near the border, waited for me by car. He took me and was so kind to give me like his couch to rest for a few days. I didn't have clothes and I didn't have access to my bank account because there were like the Russians were hacking the Ukraine. I decided to move to Ukraine last September, so I had no plan B. And so it was the first time, I mean, I don't know, I took it as something to be humble about, but I was given secondhand clothing to wear. I understand, it could be like whatever, but it was like the first time. I never thought in my life I would be wearing what somebody else discarded because they were fat and they lost weight. So I was wearing those clothes. I was absolutely traumatized where if I heard an if I heard an ambulance, it reminded me of air raid sirens. If someone closed the door, I remembered those shellings or the first bombing of the night. Yeah. And my mental health was not okay. But then I thought, look, I won't let Putin he violated my plans, but I won't let him violate my mental health. I can take this as an opportunity to get better rather than to be bitter. And therefore, I thought, I choose to see this as a forced part of my destiny where I'm opening a new chapter in my life, a new opportunity to change everything, to start fresh. And that's what motivated me in many ways, where I thought, I'm here for a reason. I could have been stuck there until now in a shelter or at home or dead or suspected to be a spy or whatever it is, but I'm here and this is not for nothing because multiple times I could not have made it and money made no difference. I still have it till now, it's here. Even here, the banks don't want that Ukrainian money. So it wasn't meaningful at all. It made no difference.
Ladies and gentlemen, wow. I mean, you just, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you guys heard it from Aziz. He made a choice, and his choice was he could have allowed the trauma that he experienced on his journey out of a war zone and allowed that to really decrease the outcomes of his future life. And he made the choice to not do that and to look at it as a new opportunity to make new memories and to help other people the way they helped him. And this is just, I'm just honored to have you on the show, Aziz. If you had, reflecting back on your entire journey, if you had to leave our listeners and viewers with one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say this, and maybe it sounds a bit more spiritual or metaphysical, but
no worries.
Yes, because some people might say, oh, have a plan B and have a plan C and have redundancy in your life where if anything happens, you can have the circumstances to deal with it. Me, I would say there are things in life that are much, much bigger than any of your preparation. So prepare yourself in your heart and in your head to be strong enough and believe in yourself and that you're not alone in this world and that things you will learn. Like, we're on this earth not to be billionaires, not to be successful in that way, but in order for us to overcome things that make us that strong person that can truly change this world. And I always say, people who always have success from the beginning actually are naive and they're not so interesting to me. But people who had to overcome hardships, those become wise. And those are the people that when you speak with them, you think, wow, this person has depth and character. And that's, if I might leave people with something, it's build your character now, because you will need later to have it under test, no matter how much you prepare.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from Aziz. Prepare your thought process, your spiritual beliefs today, because you have no idea what the challenges and real life situations may come your way tomorrow, like he just experienced in Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, again, if you guys want to find Aziz, get on LinkedIn. He is doing some amazing stuff. Again, Aziz, I am blessed and honored to have you on the show and to be the first podcaster to host an amazing podcaster. His name is Aziz. Aziz, thank you. God bless you, my friend. And I look forward to be continuing this relationship for quite some time to come.
Thank you. It's my honor, my privilege to spend time with you and your great viewers. And God bless you as well.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, again, till next time, you guys be safe. God bless you all, and we'll see you later.